That's what
What's going on, everybody?
Get out, everybody.
What
We
is
are
going on over
enjoying the time that it is Christmas up in the cafe.
Man, I'm super excited. Sorry about the technical difficulties
Yes.
on some of the videos. They weren't playing all the way through for some reason. We do apologize to our sponsors even. We love you. We honor you. We'll make sure those videos get through a little bit smoother. But there are really good videos too. I was excited to see them, but it kept cutting in and out.
Yeah.
But we do make things better. You know, the biggest room in the world is what, Lou?
The room for improvement.
Right, man. So we're just going to keep working on it and making it better, like Don Brady.
Yep.
Man, Don Brady, man, this guy's everywhere too, man. You know, I'm glad that he's doing better. I'm sure you guys all heard about his pneumonic he had, and he's coming back
baby.
bigger and stronger. I know he is. He's a tough guy. He's also, his show from when he did the Charge Across America, where he drove an electric car from New York all the way to LA. He got to stop in a lot of amazing places, and it was like a team of like 2 people, and there was 5 teams that did it. And they show that you can go across America in an electric car and be able to charge it and be able to make it across without having any issues. I thought that was a pretty unique way of showing that. It's going to be live on NBC Sports, I believe, for us to watch, not live, but documentary about it. So check it out. Support our friend. Good buddy of ours, Don Brady, man. Love that guy to death, man. The nicest guy in the car business, I promise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you had a top 5, Don Brady, I mean, he has coins, right?
Yeah,
like
coins.
Like he's a sergeant major in the military,
well,
right?
He was in the military.
So what I'm trying to make the correlation.
My bad, Doc. My bad.
But it's okay. Car guys and car gals, we are excited because there are a lot of people that are friendly in this business, just like our friend Don Brady. And because of that, we get connected to incredible people that pour great things inside of you and all throughout the industry. And that's what we're trying to make sure that we bring together here, right? The right beans, so we can grind it out, have a good cup of coffee, a good conversation, and do something constructive with each of our businesses and our lives. So with that, we have an incredible guest that's here. You probably know because you read the title on the actual post, and you see that we have one of the most incredible car guys in the business right now as far as marketing minds. And I love that we've had the chance to hang out with him and talk with him and see him speak. And somehow we have not had him on the show. We have been dancing around trying to.
I almost thought we did already because I speak with him so much, and he's a dear friend of mine now. I mean, I've really come to find him as like a mentorish, like amazing guy that just really cares about this business and the people that are doing it the right way, and he'll do anything for them. So it's weird. Like I honestly was like, man, we haven't had him on the show, so I was glad to be able to schedule him and get him on
his show. That was awesome.
That was an amazing show to be on. Yeah,
too, I would say.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Definitely.
And I'm honored to be on his show for sure.
Yeah, that was great. So car guys and car gals, you know what to do. Tag a car guy, tag a car gal, and share.
Let's get some people in the cafe today because we're going to be sharing a story that I'm ready to hear, something that I can't wait to ask. These 5-liners are amazing. They're a lot of fun because we get to know our guests so much better by asking these 5 questions. Not only do we get to know about them a little bit more, but I believe it's the secret to success. I kind of barely got that out right. The secret to success. The secret to success. And what I've found is that most people who talk about these traits that we're going to be asking about, going through these things in their life, when you hear about this, it gives you encouragement to know that, hey, I could do this too, as long as I put work behind everything I do. That's kind of the secret ingredient is work, right? Putting a lot of work behind your why. So absolutely excited to have him on the show. Excited to get him on here. Man, let's make this happen. Let's get him up here. Let's get him on the screen.
And beginning, car guys and car gals, help us to make welcome the incredible, the one, the only, Glenn Pasch.
Hey!
Yes.
What's going on, brother?
What's up, my friends?
Loving it. Hey, Glenn, welcome to the show, brother. Cheers. If you're sipping on something, cheers to you.
Cheers.
We encourage you to. I know he's got close to his heart a little bit of car guy coffee action. So glad that you're here today. What's popping where you're at?
It's a chilly day out here in New Jersey. So just had a great meeting with my staff to wish them a very happy Christmas and Happy New Year. They killed it this year. So had to share some love with them because they just really have, taken care of our clients. They've gone beyond. We just received a few beautiful emails from clients today, just sharing their appreciation for what our team does throughout the year. So that's that just makes me smile. Very proud.
Heck
And you
yeah.
should be proud. You know, you've done some things, man. You've been in this business a long time, but I believe this last year you did some amazing things that really elevated you even more, man. From between your events that you hosted out in Napa to being down south with your brother hosting the event down there, that was an amazing thing down. But in between that, you did so much. You've been to a lot of events. I've seen you there, right? And
Yes.
while you're there, you've been a keynote in a bunch of these places, being able to speak, talk about what your product is. But I've seen you behind the scenes learning more than you're speaking. And that impressed me the most about you. You're a everlong student in the game, and you're always looking for ways not to help you be better, but it's to help your clients be better. And I can tell that, and that's why we were drawn to you very, very fast. It was like, man, I like this guy. I can tell I can see where what he's trying to do. It's so selfless, you know what I mean? And I love that. But you pour into yourself. You make sure your cup's empty all the time. I love that. This way you're always getting something to fill it up with. And I can appreciate that, because that's kind of the way I want to live my life. So when I see other people who are successful in this business doing that, it encourages me to keep doing that. So thank you.
No, I appreciate that. There are so many. Well, the business just keeps changing, but there's so many smart and passionate people. It would be, silly if I would sit here and say, I don't need to listen to these folks. I mean, I go to events and I spend a lot of time figuring out what sessions can I go in and who do I want to go listen to. That to me is really important versus, sitting outside in the hall doing nothing. I'm there. I might as well maximize my time and learn so I can bring more things back to my team as well. So to your point, benefit my clients.
That is incredible.
Powerful.
That's so true, because I mean, when you're at those events, you're in dual form, right? You're amongst great minds and great processes while trying to share your great ideas, your great processes. And there has to be that dance and exchange. And we're trying to figure out that fun flow inside of all of it, right? While trying to make sure that we also maximize the time we have with people. Like, we want to stand with you and talk all day long. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh man, we just stood here for 20 minutes. And I got to go over here real quick. You know what I mean?
No, I think to your point, I think that's great, because what you can do is you can learn from someone sitting in a workshop. You can learn talking to them about their new products. But what I find just as valuable is talking with other people in a position. And it doesn't have to mean running a company. It could be running a team, and just talk to them about what they're seeing, what they're doing. And you find a lot of similarities in your journey. There's a few people that I lean on. And it's funny whenever we're talking and I say, I'm running across this in the business right now, they go, I'm running across it the same way too. So it's surprising. You'll find a lot of people on similar paths, and it allows you, one, to not feel so alone as if you're the only one going through this.
Love it.
But you can also find a different strategy or a different way to look at it, or just encouragement to say, no, you're on the right path. Go. So that's what I use those times for as much as anything else.
Heck yeah. And that's definitely wise things to do with your time.
There's no doubt about it. And when you do that and you find that, you're going to grow exponentially. It's a constant thing. The biggest room, we talked about it a moment ago when I struggled with words, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
Right.
And the room for improvement is beautiful. I think that because we all have that, no matter how great we become, the Michael Jordans of the world, the Wayne Gretzky's of the world, the Glenn Pasches of the world, right? No matter how good we become at what we do, there's always more to learn. The world is adapting all the time. It's changing. It's evolving. We need to do that as ourselves too, to make sure that we're constantly looking to be the best version of ourselves, because we're evolving. As years go by, our minds change, our bodies change. We do different things, our likes, our wants. So we have to find ways to make sure that we become the best vessel of that. And what I love about you is you've been doing that, and you show that. So, there's a reason why you do all these things, these 5 questions. And but before we do, we do have to do the 3 F's with you. And I did almost skip that. I do apologize.
Don't skip that.
No, but it's important, because these 3 F's are like near and dear to our heart. It's, and by doing these 3 F's, by forgiving the weight of unforgiveness, just letting it all go. If you hold it onto your shoulders, you're never going to grow. You're going to never be able to really focus on what you want. You're just going to make excuses, right? You're going to just sit there and say, man, I can't do that, when it's very possible with just a little work. That's when you're able to focus, once you're forgiving. Now, I'm not saying forgetting, I'm saying forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're able to forgive, you're able to focus. You're focused so tight, it's almost like laser focus, right? And then you're so focused, and then you're able to fly to anywhere you want to go. And then you just keep growing from there and just keep keep recycling that. Something bad happens, you do something wrong, forgive, focus, fly, and just keep moving. And when you do that, next thing you know, you're in places where you can be a mentor, or you're in places where you can find the greatest mentors. It just depends on the level you want to be at.
Right.
And I appreciate that. And let's do this. Forgive,
Sure.
focus, and fly. It's a secret handshake.
Put
Come
the
on,
hands
folks.
on the shoulders one time. Car guys and car gals, join us as we forgive, focus, and fly together on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Forgive, focus, fly, and keep growing. Keep growing. Now we're ready. Now we're ready. That's what I'm talking about, Glenn. GP in the house, having fun with us, man, and I appreciate it. So this whole thing, we were talking about, and I was getting ready to slip right into this part, but it's your why. What makes you drive? What makes you do your thing? What makes you say, you know what, I'm going to be the best version of myself every single day that I possibly can? What is your why, Glenn?
It's always serving others, almost to a fault, which my wife will tell me sometimes you have to think about yourself, to refill yourself and be selfish in a good way. But I think I've always been that person to help others, take care of others. So my why is my family. And then that also, when I say family, that's my team. It's the people who are in my circle, to people who I connect with. I always feel that I want to help others and share and be available to them, because so many people have been available to me through my life. And it would be disappointing if I got to the end of whatever time I have here and say I didn't push myself, and I look back and say, oh, if only I could have, if only I could have, if I should have. But that's a dangerous place to be, because it's easy to look 20/20 in hindsight and say, if only I did this, I would be X. But you don't know that. Right? You don't know that. What you're doing with that is you're looking through the lens of where I am today and saying, if I did that, I'd be right where I am today. Plus, reality is you wouldn't be right here. You'd be somewhere else. And, how do you know it would have been good? You could have gotten a lot of riches and a lot of things early on, and then it all went bad, and you're in a horrible place right now. So yes. I think it's, to your point, is it's always saying, where am I at today? Where am I going? And keep moving forward step by step.
That is fundamentally the best way that you can ever help anybody, right? Is to know where it is that you are, know what it is that their condition is at the moment, right? Maybe you can dig deeper into what are the things that led to here, right? But at the moment, where are we, right? If you're going to be on a map, where are we, right? If you're inside of a mall, okay, where is it that we are on this little grid, and where is it that I need to get to? The key piece is to know where it is that you are, and then having the right people around you too. That's the thing. You have developed a culture that permeates that why, and make sure that it's consistently trying to find out, okay, where are we at now? Where are you now? I know in the conversations that we had, it's very specific, pointed to where is it that you're at now? Where is it that you're going? Right. And I absolutely honor that, love that, and not surprised at all whatsoever that it was that precise of a why, brother. You are, again, just an incredible car guy and mind of the business. This is why so many people want to pick your brain, right? This is why you light up so many microphones and so many hearts that are inspired to be better. And I just honor it. It's
appreciate that.
To have you here.
Appreciate that.
Now, there's a lot that we can say about the journeys that we've had, but ultimately, everybody's is their own, whether you're grafted in through family, generationally, or whatever the case. What is it that brought Glenn Pasch to the automotive industry?
It was an absolute not mistake or accident, but I was working at a company for a long time, and I left that business, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I was thinking, I'll do some consulting, build a business. I was very good at training people. It's still one of my favorite things to do. Even though I run an agency, I focus on training the people internally, or some of our clients, I'll just say, hey, I could help your team. So I like training process. That's my skill that I love. So that's what I was doing. And at that time, my brother Brian had started an SEO agency, and he was doing marketing. And so he said, well, I'll help you market your business. So I created a website, had a business. He said, "Oh, well, you're teaching customer experience, customer service, and training. Automotive needs that." And now this is 2008-ish, 2009-ish. And he said, you need this. So I spoke at Digital Dealer even before I was with him, just talking about customer service. I worked with a couple dealerships, and he was helping me market. And so every week I would go down to his office 1 or 2 days. And what I noticed was he was helping me. And I said, well, how can I help you? So my brain went to, let me help you build the structures of your business, because he's not good at that. And I saw that if he was going to grow his business, which is what he wanted to, it was on very shaky ground just from structural. It's not his gift. So I was building his business and helping build processes and do this. And then finally, a few of his employees said, can he stay? Here. And so we sat down and said, well, why don't we work together? I'll focus on building all of the processes and building the team. You focus on the vision and the strategy. And that's really worked well for us, because we're not competing for the same space or the same, if we talk about things a little differently, where I'm more the practical. How do we do this? Like, he loves data, but I'll say, great, what do we do with the data? And then I'll take the data and build things. And that's really how we've become successful. So I'll run the day-to-day and build the agency. And now we have someone else doing what I was doing, so I could do other things. Yep. And he's off and running, out there looking for the next thing that we need to do.
Wow. Incredible.
And Automotive, to answer your question, because I don't think I really answered, but Automotive just happened to be one of the clients. When you start your own company, you go to whoever's there. So some of our earliest clients with the agency was, I think, the person who did his LASIK eye surgery, and a yearbook company, and it was a few restaurants, and there was a lawyer, and then happened to be a dealer, because he went into the dealer that he got his car from and said, you need SEO. And they're going, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? This is 2008. And somehow they negotiated that, instead of him paying them for a lease, he'll do SEO. And then the next thing another dealer. And that's when they had the online forum. So think of Clubhouse without audio. So everybody's typing. And then that's when Digital Dealer started. And so we started speaking at events, started hosting our events, just because Automotive was a vertical that was ripe for digital marketing.
That made things way easier, because he did have such a lead off, like he's done. It's like, so
yeah. No, I got you.
I appreciate that, brother. You're so that's key. One, lessons inside of having the full on conversation with anybody, right? With customers, with understanding, how did we get here, right? We want to make sure, how did we get to where it is that we are, right? Because a big piece of that is going to determine, okay, now how do we get where it is that we want to go, right? And we touched base on this just a little bit ago, right? Being aware of where it is that you are now is so important. And car guys and car gals come from so many different avenues, and there is a stumble almost into it. For 90% of the people, we kind of fell our way into it. It was building relationship after relationship, or we answered an ad, or I had to make money and a friend told me to go do this, right? You did it by way of seeing problems in multiple pieces of multiple industries, right? That ultimately just want to connect to people. They want their service, their product, their whatever to connect to a person. And you help to make sure that message is getting delivered, received properly, and then actually processed. And you saw then you fell into Automotive, and it's like, how much of so much of what we do, the automotive industry needs, and has just been sleeping on.
No doubt.
Right. And what was that like in encountering the wide world of automotive? You know what I mean? That was ready and for such solutions that you bring.
Well, Automotive, I find similar to, I worked in hospitality for years, right? So I worked many, many years, probably 15 years in hospitality. I lived in New York City and also was in the restaurant business there. And I find that automotive is very similar to restaurants, meaning that you have processes, you have ways of doing things, but every single day could be different. Right. So one day you're slammed and there's tons of people there but you have your structures to lean on to deliver your service. Other days it's empty and you're looking around going, well, what's going on? This is slow. So there's always this sort of controlled chaos that I love about work. When I'm in the dealerships, it's that idea of controlled chaos. So they're always, and I think automotive, most dealers, I don't see any dealers, they get a bad rap, but they want to do well by their customers and they want to deliver a great service. I find that a lot of it is just everyone's moving so fast that they forget the accountability. They forget the process. They're not checking every day. And all of a sudden, if you really stop and look, the process you thought you were running, you're way off track for whatever reason. So there's the process, there's the customer experience, and then there's the marketing. And it's just gotten so complex over the last 10 years. It's gotten fragmented that you need someone that you can trust from an agency's perspective so that the folks can focus on what they do best, which is understanding the product, delivering great service, helping their customers. The last thing they want to do is worry about, what my Facebook ad is. They just want to have someone who's saying, I got your back and let's go take care of this.
Right. It's so money. And it's right. It's exactly what they want. Just make it simple for me, please. Just do what you say you're going to do because I trust you to do so. Make sure that it happens. And then you earn that trust. You keep that trust. You never break that trust. And that's something that's super important. And I know that's what you do. And that's why you've been able to flourish in your industry, in multiple industries, in your life, being an author of books, being, a consultant. You do so many different things, but yet it's all related, right? And it's beautiful. But as you've come up in this business, I know you've had your brother, you've had some other people. There's been some mentors. There's been people that have been there that's shown you the way, right? And gone the way with you. We believe as solutionaries, you have to not just know the way, but you have to show the way, and then you have to go the way.
Sure.
And I know that you've been able to do that with people. Who would you say has been one of your greatest mentor or mentors of your life?
I think it's interesting. I have a few people that I lean on that I've met along the way, and some of them maybe don't even know that they helped me in a brief moment. But I have a close circle of friends that I talk to a lot. One would probably be Dan Moore, who you talk about Vista Dash, Troy Spring from Dealer World's a very good friend of mine.
Love that guy.
We chat a lot. Joe Gillespie, who's the owner of Dealer eProcess, I talk to him a lot. But I also have a lot of other people that at any moment in time, I can just call up. What's been very good about our journey is I could call up a Joe Chura. I could reach out to an Alex Vetter. I could reach out to Kerry Wise. I could reach out to a million different people. One, if I need something from them for my client or help with something, and they do the same thing. But from mentorship, I think also it's just having, my wife is one of my greatest partners. She's my greatest supporter and champion. Sometimes when I can't see it, she's the first one who say, stop, well, let me explain. The best way to explain it is sometimes when I'm struggling with something, she'd joke and say, well, you should listen to one of your episodes of your podcast, or you should watch one of your own videos. She'd say, like, physician, heal thyself. You're great at giving everyone else advice, but you really don't take your own advice and do what you preach sometimes. And so I think that, to me, just having the ability to have some really close friends and being able to just know at any moment in time you have a circle of people who would give you the straight shoot, like Michael Cirillo's one. I talked to like a Frank, just being able to say, hey, could you read this? Or what do you think? What about this? That's what I think is truly important for any of us to just build up. We all have doubts, and you need somebody to say, no, you're all right. Keep going.
Or you need somebody to cut on you, which
I
isn't
love
bad either, right? Having the right people cut on you and be like, maybe
It's
you
like, come
trim
on,
that
like you
off.
said about his wife. I love that. We both have wives very similar to that. You know, like, Fred, you're Mr. Positivity. Let's keep it going. I'm like, all right, I'm with
This
you,
is a
babe.
good opportunity to forget focus fly.
Forgive. That's it. That's 100% the kind of stuff we hear from our wives. But that's great. We need that in us. That's, to me, that's the best form of accountability. It's love. And, you know, when you have true love, people will tell you what it is, good or bad. They're going to be, but they do it with love. They don't do it with like a, you know, now some people are more loving when it comes to things
Glenn
like
Lundy. Happy birthday, Glenn Lundy. Just putting it out there because
Oh yeah, it is his birthday today. Happy birthday.
that.
And you know, I would also say the interesting thing working with my brother, because my brother, sometimes people say, how do you work together? What's been good is because he, as I said, he has such a different view, a different skill set, where, for example, when we first wanted to do events, he pulled me in the office and said, I'm thinking of doing events. And I said, okay, great, let's plan it out. He goes, great, I already picked the date and I picked a hotel. And I said, well, we don't even have an event. He's like, we'll figure it out. Like, that has allowed me to become less like we have to figure everything out before we can move.
I agree.
And on the flip side, I've slowed him down a little bit. So it's sort of the gas brake mentality. He's made me a little more willing to just go, okay, let's figure it out. And I've slowed him down to say, if we think a couple things through, we'll save time in the future. So I think, you know, not mentor, but I think as a partner, it changes you a little bit.
No doubt. And it's good to have that all within all that type of group of people. You know, we always hear that saying, and I said earlier in our training session we did with one of our teams, is that, you know, rising tide brings up all ships. And the thing about that, it's true, because when you're around the right people, when you're in the right area, when you're on the right ship, when you're in the right bay and everything is lifting up, you're going to go with them. And it's because it's not because, you know, you're lucky. It's because you're doing the right stuff, because you're going to be influenced by what's around you. If people are just negative, you're going to be negative. If you're going to be positive, you're going to be positive. If people are growing and looking for new, innovative ways to be better in what they do in their industry, you're going to do the same thing. It's just natural. It's what we do as humans. It elevates us. Once again, that's another form of accountability. You don't want to let people down, including yourself. Like, a lot of times we can let ourselves down really easy sometimes. Like, you know what? I could just skip today. You know, you could do those things. But when you have people who depend on you, a team, dealerships, family, friends, business partners, you're going to do it because you don't want to let anyone down. So it's important that you understand that, folks, that you have to have that type of stuff around you, but also have it inside you. A lot of people still have all that and they don't even do the work. They sit back, and that's why they wonder why it's not working for them. So there is two sides.
Well, you have to, and that's where I think, to your point, is having people around you that you feel comfortable asking what's their system. I think the reason why a lot of people don't achieve what they want is they're working under the wrong system or process, right? Some people would say, you know, you see some folks I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's all right for them, but that doesn't mean you have to get up at 4 o'clock. Some people say, I write things down. Other people go, that doesn't work for me. I like doing it on a computer. It doesn't matter. It's taking a step back and saying, what take it back a higher level. What they're doing is saying, here's my goal. I'm breaking down the steps of the goal. What's the best way for me to track it, to hold myself accountable, right? Yeah. It may, right? For someone, it's, I write down everything I eat and that works for me. Other people are going, as long as they don't eat this, I'm pretty good. It's understanding what works for you, that you can do that long term. That's the key to the success, or else all you're doing is finding a quick fix. Yeah, I lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, but then I put on 30 because it's not sustainable. What's sustainable for you so that you say a year from now, I achieve my goal. A year from now, that way I can, because then if you fall off the process, like you were saying, Fred, off of it for a day, I didn't want to do it. It's okay, but at least I have a roadmap to get back on.
That's it.
Versus floundering.
100%. And also just trying, this the idea that you just do it. A lot of people, they talk about it, they educate themselves, but they never applying these things, applying these tactics, whether they're for you or not. You never know. You could say, it's not going to work for me. How do you know until you try it? Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm a big advocate of that.
Well,
And
Tony Robbins used to always say that. One thing I listened to his tapes years ago. Right. But Tony Robbins said, what can you do today? What's one thing you can do today that starts you on that path? Like if you say, I want to lose weight, what's the first thing to do? Decide how much you want to do. Okay, I did one thing, right? Instead of, well, no, I have to build my gym out in my house, or I have to go get a membership, or blah, 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 blah. What's one thing you can do today that made you feel like you started on the path? And it could be as simple as, how much do I want to lose? Or just go online and say, what's the nearest gym to where but to your point is, it doesn't all have to be mapped out before you start on the journey. You got to get going.
Yeah, I agree. And that's it. Once you take that step, it's just one step after another. Everything seems so complicated, but really it's just one thing after another. And eventually you finish. It's just like any big project. You have to put together a puzzle that you start. Yeah. By the end of it, you go, man, that wasn't that bad. And, and you become strong, more confident in yourself. And even if you don't make that target, you don't hit that target, you were getting there, you became better along the way. Right. Yes. So that is forgive, focus, fly time. That's when you go, hey, I could do this. You can achieve those dreams that you want, man. I love this. A great conversation. And I love where we're going.
I know I'm going to have a great conversation anytime that we're hanging out with Glenn.
Yeah,
I love this guy.
No doubt.
He's, a bag of wisdom, right? A serious solutionary that really we connected really just because we're just trying to shine a light on the positivity, on the places of growth, on the areas that we can improve, on the areas that can improve and can improve consistently, right? A value of a solutionary is that there is consistency, right? When we adapt to many things, the way that we adapt could be consistent, right? With the smile, looking for the solution, not pointing fingers, right? Not focusing so much on the problem that we don't have any time for the solution. And sometimes there are the hiccups. Sometimes there's a cut that keeps bleeding, right? And the best thing to do is to bandage it up so that you leave it alone and let it heal. In other cases, a bruise is a bruise, right? It's just a hit. We got to operate. It doesn't mean that we don't keep fighting. It doesn't mean that we don't keep going. And we run into so many different challenges in all of our lives. And up to now, you've seen so many different things. But what for you has been the hardest lesson that you've had getting to where it is that you are now?
Oh, God, I think one of the hardest ones is balancing changes that happen in the industry, outside influences or being prepared for them. But I think probably one of the hardest things is just holding on to that consistency and believing in the consistency, because sometimes you're in those struggle times, where for whatever reason clients leave for whatever reason, or the sales pipeline takes a little longer, or employees leave you no matter how great you think you are, and you work really hard at what you believe. It is having faith through those times that you're on the right path. It's just really, so there's not any one specific, because I think it's one of those things when you think it's all bad, this too shall pass. And when you think it's all great, this too shall pass, and you will hit a bump. It's being willing to keep fighting through those bumps. So there's not any one specific, but it's just been a journey of ups and downs and struggles and celebrations and stress and waking up at 2:00 in the morning. But that's what owning a company is about, I guess.
But there's a lot of fulfillment also, there's all those things. There's a lot of beautiful things that come with that.
Sure, absolutely.
But there's a lot of responsibility, it's much like Uncle Ben would tell Peter Parker, is like, with great power comes great responsibility. And I do believe that, when you start to do things like that and you start to grow, it's beautiful though. Those responsibilities get you uncomfortable, and we as humans, I think that when we're in the uncomfortable zone, you really get excited. You really have fun. Yeah, it's that exhilaration. You slightly get some adrenaline rush. You're trying something that you've never done before, but then you find, I can do this.
Sure, absolutely. If I look back at where I was when I first joined with Brian, I left my previous company, didn't believe in branding yourself. Again, this is a long time ago, and not going to conference. And I vowed that I would never align myself so much that that the company defined who I was. I said that was my goal, so that everyone would know me, and even if something happened. And I think that I put myself in that position. I always say is that if for some reason Brian and I decided tomorrow that, all right, we're done with the agency for whatever reason, my phone would be ringing to say, hey, I have an opportunity. That only comes over all of this long time. So you're right. There's a lot of celebrations. But it's a lot of work, and you have to be willing to get bruised and banged and make mistakes, but take on that responsibility as the leader of the team. It's always your fault. Everything's your fault. If you don't think that, then you shouldn't be in that chair. You got to figure it out and fix it. And more importantly, it's the celebrations of the team. And that's what I look at it as. My belief is the team. When we win, it's everybody's win. When something's struggling, I figure out some way. I look at it and say, somewhere along the line, I dropped the ball.
No, it is. And at the end of the day, it is, it's like that period. And I agree. Anything that I put my stamp on, it's my responsibility. And no matter what happens, if my team falls apart, that's because I wasn't there making sure it wasn't falling apart. If somebody makes a mistake because of the thing, it's still my fault because I put them in that place, right? So it doesn't matter what excuses we come up with. At the end of the day, it's my company, it's my responsibility. I take it, and I'm going to find a solution for it. That is a true sign of a solutionary, being able to be adaptable, but also love. You're honoring your people by doing that. You're showing faith that if you put the work behind what you do, you're going to get there. Adaptable, and of course consistency. And you have all those traits inside your company. And it's really cool to see that, especially when you talk about that. That is a great way of putting down a great lesson learned.
It's it's a testament to a big piece of the seed time harvest that there is a key fundamental thing that has to happen when you are planting seeds. Is you have to break the ground, right? You have to do some dirty breaking of the ground around you. It has to get broken up in order to be opened up for seed. Now, in ancient times, right, they used to take their seed and just throw it around and wish for the best, right? And it's in there all with the mess. And then we started to say, how about we just put these in a row and we clean out the stuff that could hurt it, and let's get more and more proficient at that, right? But if we do the effective, even planting your grass at home, right? You want to fill a patch of grass, you don't just throw the seed there. You got to break up the ground, right? In order for there to be space for the seed to take its place, you have to break up the ground. And sometimes it gets dirty, sometimes it gets uncomfortable, but ultimately it's worth it, right? That's the most laborious part, right? Is the breaking the ground, and then the actual harvesting, right? Getting what you did the work for is the next hardest part, right? Is taking in that harvest that you have. And I love the grace that you operate in everything, right? You flow so good, but I appreciate you sharing that, because sometimes we got to break up that ground, and we got to.
Well, I think, and to your point is, I'm not sure. I think the harvesting part, not that it's easy. I think the key of all of it is that nurturing along the way. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people skip. Is they do a great job. If we translate this to automotive or any company, a lot of times they do a lot of that planting. That's called new hire training. We break the ground, we teach you, we get you all started. And then we want that great harvest at the end. We want that great success. But how much are you nurturing them along the way? Because to your point with the grass, I'll guarantee you're going out every day and watering it, or maybe you threw straw on top of it, or you're checking it, or you're putting some nutrients on it to make sure it grows strong so that you can harvest. Harvest, remember, if you think about it, spring to fall is a long time of nurturing.
Yep.
That's right.
To make sure you have a strong harvest. They just don't plant it, take off time, and then say, "I'll come back in August and we'll harvest." That, I think, is the success or the downfall, or not downfall. The companies that struggle, businesses that struggle, take their eye off of the nurturing process, and they just look at the bookends.
I love that. And it's true. It's the nurturing, it's the nutrients, it's the water. It's that time that people are just cannot handle, right? There's some stuff that'll grow quick, but a lot of times it's just weeds. That's why you really can't take those for face value.
Right.
You know, it's also our job to go in there and take out the weeds as the time
Yes.
goes by, so that our harvest is bigger and more bountiful. This way that the soil is being used with the
Right.
roots.
And those weeds are bad. Those weeds are bad habits that people get into for whatever reason without your guidance. It's, when we go out to Napa for our conference, part of why I like going out there is we go to the wineries and they talk about how they train the vines. They go out there and people are tying it to train it to go a certain way. And if it starts going a different way, they trim it back to force it to go this way. So, and they cut out certain bunches so that all the nutrients go to certain grapes and that's really what the job of a leader of a team is doing is, Dan Moore always says it. It was on my podcast and I took it away. I thought it was so great. He goes, the job of a leader, a real leader, their focus every day should be removing the obstacles from their team's path so their team can perform better. And that obstacle could be some outside thing, could be training, could be coaching, could be whatever it is. I'm removing obstacles. That's a great leader. And so that goes back to what you're saying about nurturing and removing weeds. Well, weeds are an obstacle. Bad habits are an obstacle. I need more training. I need more coaching. And the way I coach Fred is different than how I coach Lou, than how I coach Glenn. That's a great leader.
That is fantastic. And that is exactly right. Dan Moore is amazing. TEDx speaker, folks, just somebody that really understands what it's like to be at the top as a leader. When you're really helping is that you're not really at the top, you're right next to them. You're just showing them, because through your experience, through your perspective and everything you've been through, it's your job to show them the path of least resistance, at least show them that this is the stuff that I messed up. You don't have to do that.
Right.
Do this instead, and your life will be much easier. I'm going to try to save you time. And that is what we do. We don't hide those things. We share those things. And that is a leader all day long. I love that. I'm glad you brought him up. He's a great person.
Yes.
And I'm, a real good pleasure to meet in person too. I mean, just when I met him, he's just smiling, just full of energy, just a great guy, much like you, Clint, man. So it's what's so cool about the network of people once again, and as we go through that, we have these lessons learned. We have your why. We've talked about, the people and the people that have influenced you. We've talked about why you got in this business even. The one thing that we haven't talked about yet has been your greatest reward for everything that you've done so far. I know there's going to be another amazing thing that comes around. Life is still a long time left in it. Time is still there. But the question is what has happened up to this point for you that's been your greatest reward?
Well, I could say that for me personally, being able to speak internationally or travel or sit at the table when you're sitting at an OEM table and you're looking around with the presidents of these companies saying, how the hell did I end up in this room? You can look at it that. But my true, what I get the most, feeling of really wonderful feelings from is watching my team grow. Yes. So I've had people on my team who have left my company because we didn't have a space for them to grow, right? But them leaving our company and succeeding, but saying, it was my time there that has allowed me to, accelerate over here. Nothing makes me happier than seeing people step up, like the woman who runs our agency right now, Denise Casa Grande Galeazos, who is the president of our and COO of the agency. She came in and started as a social media coordinator and worked her way up. And so that to me is my greatest pleasure, is building a system where people who want to grow and take on more responsibility, it's there, and then you can hand it to them and empower them to do that. I think that to me makes me the happiest. I still get phone calls from people I've worked with 20 years ago who say, how you mentored me as a manager and, led me as a manager. I still follow the way that you do it. And that that makes me happier than anything else.
Boom. I love that. And I know that in my heart, I knew you were going to answer something very similar to that, because I just know the person you are. And there's no doubt in my mind that you're that way. I know you even feel that way about us. When you see us be successful, you're going to feel that way. And that's what's
listen, I already am so proud of both of you. I mean, I called you up and we were chatting about a couple things, and when I hung up the phone, I was like, did I push too far? And I was like, but I see what you took and adapted. And now I go, okay, now they're going. And that to me is exciting to just see other people flourish, just that you can say, wow, good, they picked my brain and that may have helped. And the funny thing is when I hear myself talking to you guys or helping someone else, I learn, because the questions you ask me back go, ooh, that was a good question. I didn't think about that. Right. And then I write those questions down, and then I take that back to my company and go, are we doing this? Right. So it's always a two-way street of these conversations. I 100%. Take away as much as I give.
And I 100%, and we definitely honor that. And then every conversation I have, I try to take something from it, whether it's the right way or the wrong way. I'm going to take something from it, and I'm going to use it to help myself become better. And that is what's so beautiful. It's free education. That's just through love. That's through honor. That's through faith, and that's through being with people like you, man. And we appreciate you, your time, and everything that you've given us today. I know that you're a busy man, and we appreciate it. And our audience definitely. They took away a lot from
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone out there. What a great day this was. What a great way to start.
Brew.
Appreciate you, Glenn. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Man, this is again, some of the greatest value is the great conversations that you have with people, and car guys and car gals paying attention to us in any capacity, paying attention to the incredible solutionary that we have here in any capacity. It is your responsibility to get something out of the conversations that you have. And like Fred said, and like Glenn is sharing, right? There's so many great things that can go inside of your cup. For those of you that are all over Clubhouse, right? You have so many voices that could be in your ear. It is your responsibility to take something, make something constructive of it, and activate light in the world that you get exposed to.
Facts. You have to apply, my friends. You cannot just know. You can know everything. You could be so educated, but if you do not apply those things, folks, I'm telling you, you'll never know if it really works. Period. Hands down. I don't care it does not matter. Please apply. Please put that work behind everything that you guys do, man. Learn something and apply it.
Man. What an incredible brew.
What a great day.
Totally satisfied. I've had a little bit more sound with another East Coast guy. I've had some great pizza in my life here in town, and everything just feels like Christmas, folks. It feels like a good time. So I want you all to have an incredible week, cheering on your friends, clapping for the great news that everybody shares all around you, and bring as much joy as you possibly can. We have had a great time on the show today with an incredible friend of ours that we can't wait to do another follow-up with. And just chat even a little bit more. But until next time, I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Frelin Archer, subprime hero. And what I want to tell you all right now, down below me, you can see the phone number. You see his email address. You see his website.
Check it out.
Reach out to him. He's one of those guys that will be happy to help you learn something. He'll show you something, I promise. Give him a love. Tell him that Merry Christmas, whatever it is. Let Glenn know how amazing he is. I appreciate you, Glenn. You all have a great day.
Thank you, man. Have a great holiday.
You too, brother.
Merry Christmas, my friends.
Glenn Pasch.
Woo! Later, everybody. Later, guys. Oh, there he is.
That's what's making
Superman. Superman in the house. Love it. Love you guys. So awesome. You guys have a good one. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Peace.
Out.